Today, Riot makes millions in power credits during a Texas heat wave. Coinbase launches a new service to lend to U.S. institutions. And the co-founder of Solana explains what the network's new partnership with Visa means for the blockchain. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Tanea McKeel. Digital currencies ticking lower again this morning. Bitcoin and Ether hovering below the flat line by noon Eastern. Bitcoin slipped to $25,500 and Ether was trading at $16.22. Solana dropped 5% to $19. Let's talk about the latest headlines. First up, Coinbase has confirmed it's starting up a crypto lending service for U.S. institutional clients. According to a filing with the SEC, Coinbase raised $57 million for the new service as of September 1st. The move follows the bankruptcies of crypto lending companies BlockFi and Genesis within the past year. Institutional lending has been a big gap in crypto trading markets this year, which has been one of the main drivers of low liquidity. It also comes as Coinbase continues to battle the SEC after the regulator sued the company in June, alleging it operates as an unregistered securities exchange, broker, and clearing agency. Next, North Korea might be using crypto to fund its nuclear program, according to research from TRM Labs and Chainalysis. TRM found that state-sponsored hackers stole more than $200 million in crypto between January and August 18th. Those exploits are part of a rise in crypto-related cyber attacks from North Korea that, according to a June discussion between North Korea experts and TRM, coincides with increased activity from the country's nuclear program. Those findings also match research from Chainalysis back in February, which said that most experts agreed the North Korean government is using these stolen assets to fund its nuclear weapons program. CNBC reached out to the permanent mission of North Korea to the United Nations, but didn't hear back. And finally, Bitcoin miner Riot Platforms raked in more power credits in August than in all of 2022. According to a new operations report released this morning, Riot received around $31.7 million in credits for selling back unused power to Texas's grid and for demand response credits, where Riot gets paid to reduce its energy use during times of high demand like the scorching heat wave Texas faced last month. All told, those credits are worth about 1,100 Bitcoin. That number dwarfs Riot's actual Bitcoin produced in August, which totaled about 333. The company said August was a landmark month and showcased Riot's unique power strategy. Now, earlier this year, Texas lawmakers briefly considered ending those payment programs for Bitcoin miners, but that bill stalled out in committee. All right, for our main story. Yesterday, we learned that Visa is expanding stablecoin settlements using the Solana blockchain. So Crypto World's Talia Kaplan spoke with the network's co-founder, Anatoly Yakovenko, to find out exactly what this new partnership entails.
Yesterday, we learned that Visa tapped Solana to boost its use of Circle's USDC stablecoin to speed up cross-border transactions. The payments giant said it's one of the first major financial firms to use your network at scale for live settlement payments between its clients. Now, this partnership is big for Solana. So how did it come about and how will it work exactly?
Yeah, I'm very excited that Visa chose to use Solana. And I think it came about from the strength of the Solana ecosystem and the engineering team and kind of the technologies that have been built over the last 5 years. I think it's, if you look at the data and the stats, it's pretty obvious that Solana is the cheapest and one of the fastest networks out there. And USDC and Solana is, my favorite version of the US dollar.
So over on X, formerly known as Twitter, Solana wrote that Visa is scaling its USDC settlement pilot to include the Solana blockchain, enabling enterprise-grade throughput at virtually no cost for Visa users and merchants. Can you expand on that? How exactly is this partnership going to work?
Well, Solana is an open protocol. Anyone can build on it. So the Visa folks chose to build on Solana. So they don't really need, permission or help from us, which is pretty great. You can think of the network as a network version of Linux. It's open source. Anyone can participate. What's really distinguishing about Solana is how fast and cheap it really is. I mean, we see that average transaction settles in about 1.2 seconds, and the cost is 0.002 cents. So we really built the technology to be as close to the cost of the hardware that it takes to run it, which means, computers are very, very cheap these days. Bandwidth is very, very cheap. So money can actually be transmitted as cheap as data. And that's really, really cool. And I think the cornerstone of Solana.
What does this announcement mean for Solana? Are there more new partnerships with financial institutions in the works?
Well, it's up to those institutions to make the decision. I'm hoping that when they see Visa choose to build on Solana, that they will also consider the network as well. Um, like I think right now is probably the best time to start experimenting with using programmable money because this is still a very early technology that hasn't been established yet. So I'm hoping to see more financial institutions start building on Solana.
So, obviously, this has been a whirlwind year for crypto regulation and crypto businesses operating in the US. For Solana specifically, we saw the SEC name the network Sol token, as well as several other cryptocurrencies, as securities in the agency's lawsuits against Binance and Coinbase. And then we saw several platforms, including Robinhood and Bitstamp, delist those tokens. Now we're seeing the SEC lose some of its crypto cases. Just last week, Grayscale won its court battle against the SEC, and in July, Ripple got a partial win against the SEC when a judge ruled that its native XRP token is not a security in some cases. How do those developments change your thinking about the current regulatory environment or how you grow your business in the US?
United States is still the best place in the world to be an entrepreneur. The engine of ingenuity is like the strongest here anywhere in the world. I'm looking at Congress to pass the market structure reform bill and the stablecoin bill. They're not perfect, but don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. So if you want to see US keep its top spot as the place for people to build companies, to start businesses, call your senators, tell them to pass pass those bills.
So, how is Solana operating in the current regulatory environment?
Well, it's an open permissionless network. There's nothing really for us to do besides write open source code. And none of the regulatory, I think, changes right now really impact that. But I would really like to see Congress pass those bills because those do impact decisions by folks like Visa, by other financial institutions. I'd love to see every major financial institution, launch their own pilot payments programs, launch their own stablecoins, and really push this innovation to the consumers.
What's your vision for the future of Solana, especially amid an increasingly competitive landscape?
Well, I think what's really cool is that the future of Solana is in the hands of all the developers that are building on the network. You saw a report recently published by the Electric Capital that said that Solana is the second largest developer platform. It has 1,475 some developers that are building on it. Those are the folks that actually write the code because the network's open source. They have the means and the ability and the reasons to change it and take it to whatever future that they need to. And because it's an open platform that's built on top of open source technology, it's something that, in my view, is can never die, right? It's the developers that use the network that can really move it forward.
What do you think about the increasingly competitive environments? Are you phased by it at all?
It's really, really hard to really optimize kind of all three aspects of building a public blockchain. It has to be fast, it has to be cheap, it has to be decentralized. And when you look at kind of the new entrants into the space, they've sacrificed some of those aspects. Solana is the second largest network by full node count behind Ethereum out of the smart contract platforms. And so far, all the new networks that have launched, are somewhere between 100 to 200 nodes, which is much, much lower in the decentralization spectrum. So if you were to compare Solana to those folks, I'd recommend running a much smaller version of Solana and look at the performance differences there.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today. We'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.